The Singapore and Indonesian leaders also discussed regional developments, in particular Myanmar. PM Lee says the situation there, quote, remains serious. They note that there is no significant progress on implementing ASEAN's 5-point consensus on Myanmar since it was adopted last April. That includes the call to end violence and resume constructive dialogue.
We are committed to help Myanmar reach a durable and peaceful resolution in the interest of its people. But it is essential for the ASEAN chair and his special envoy to engage all parties involved. We also need to see progress in the delivery of humanitarian assistance.
Cambodia's Prime Minister Hun Sen has invited Myanmar's army chief to an ASEAN summit, but his attendance is conditional on progress being made on that 5-point consensus. Leong Wai-kit joins us live now for more. Wai-kit, is this a U-turn on ASEAN's position on Myanmar?
Well, Dawn, it can be interpreted as this way, a U-turn. But for now, all Cambodia's Hun Sen has done is to take ASEAN's position and rephrased it in a more inviting manner to Myanmar army. But at the end of the day, it is still conditional. The seat in Cambodia or the Zoom window on your computer screen is reserved for Myanmar only if the army chief ends violence. Now, on the surface, Prime Minister Hun Sen appears to be very defensive on his decision to engage Myanmar, defiant when his trip was criticized. But it also appears that Cambodia's Hun Sen is losing patience with Myanmar because shortly after the trip, less than 2 weeks, in fact, Cambodia voiced serious concern that the violence continues in Myanmar, and that would jeopardize that high-level meeting that was held in early January. Mr. Hun Sen was also reportedly saying that ASEAN has a lot on its plate, not just the Myanmar issue. Sources in Cambodia tell me that within the ministries in Cambodia, there appears to be no intent nor interest to invite Army Chief Min Aung Hlaing to ASEAN summits. And therefore, some analysts say that the Wednesday meeting between Hun Sen and Army Chief is a very diplomatic way for both countries to save face after what appears to be a not so productive, not so successful high-level meeting between the two.
And what's been the reaction so far in Myanmar, Wai-kit, to this apparent conditional invitation?
Well, people on the ground are unhappy. They are angry with regard to any form of interaction with the Myanmar army, but there's no spike in protests on the streets. Nobody's banging pots and pans as a result to that move. The Myanmar army has not said anything so far with regard to the Wednesday meeting as well as the invite to ASEAN summit. But I've spoken to the pro-democracy's National Unity Government. The Human Rights Minister Aung Myo Min told me that NUG is heartened that Cambodia is so committed to helping Myanmar, but he pointed out that the high-level trip in early January wasn't fruitful because the violence has spiked after that meeting. He also pointed out that NUG respects Cambodia as ASEAN chair, but any decision from the bloc must come through consensus.
Wai-kit, thank you. Leong Wai-kit there with the latest developments.